Greetings, friends, and welcome to the Gospel Underground Podcast. This is episode 18, Steph Curry Bombs. We are broadcasting live, live for us, from the Power of Change headquarters here in Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm Reid Monaghan. I'm one of your hosts, and back from Canada without tank top or hat.
I dressed up today.
Yeah. Got a few buttons on the top of the shirt.
I've got 3 buttons on my T-shirt.
Jesse Fury, welcome back, brother.
It's good to be back.
So tell me about, I heard you guys were went to help church planters or also to a resort town, or I couldn't tell which one it was. What's happening?
It was great, Reid. We went to Canmore in Alberta, Canada, about an hour outside of Calgary, to visit with and encourage, and really what turned out to be getting encouraged and getting care by Craig and Zoe Robinson, and Zach, our church planters that we sent to Canmore, a little bit over a year ago. And so Zoe grew up there.
And that's near Banff, right?
That's near Banff.
Banff.
That's right. Banff with 2 Fs.
Yeah. Banff.
Banff. It's near Banff. It's about 15 minutes from Banff, and man, it was amazing. It was so beautiful. Everywhere you looked, it was beautiful. As a matter of fact, I found myself a couple days in just going, I maybe just should move my family up here.
I need to be a co-pastor.
If it was June in Canmore all the time, if I wasn't such a wimp about cold,
about February.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't handle it then. But yeah, we went and visited a local church, Crossway Community Church. They're in the process of they're in a pastoral search. And
so you had the resume
I considered
in the holster.
I considered it, but
quick on the draw.
But I love where I am here in Southwest Virginia. But man, beautiful. Their team is really fun. We got to meet. They got a small little core team, 8 people, and it was encouraging. We climbed. I went climbing, Reid.
Like free climbing? Like you had to have grip strength and stuff?
Well, yeah, you did have to have grip strength. So we had, I don't know what it's called. I was attached to a rope in a harness.
You were on belay or something like that.
No, there was someone belaying me.
Oh,
As a matter of fact, her name is Sid.
Belay on, something like that, right?
Sid the kid had I said, listen, this is my first time climbing ever. And it was really high, like 100 feet up. We did a 5.9. If you're a climber out there, you know what that means.
Right.
I did not know what that means.
That means when you fall, that's the equivalent Richter scale when you bounce off the ground.
No, it's just what it means is it's easy, but when you're climbing it's your first time, it doesn't look easy.
Wow. All the climbing people, we apologize for our abuse of your language and culture within your sport.
I know these words, belay. And
I don't. I'm just throwing them out randomly, probably in out of context.
I said, "Hey, so I'm a little bit nervous. You know, you get 100 feet up. Well, they did it in meters, but I did the math. Yeah. And so I said, you need to make sure She had it so tight that it basically felt like if I let go, she'd just pull me up the face of the. So that made it fun.
Unlike Tom Cruise in one of the Mission Impossibles, hanging on his pinky toenails.
Apparently, making a big jump to try to go from one spot to another is called doing a Tom Cruise.
Cruising. It's called cruising in the mountains.
So anyway, beautiful, beautiful time out there.
Well, I was blessed to be at our home church on Sunday and talking about marriage.
You preached?
And I did preach.
Yeah.
I preached a sermon. I really, really enjoyed it and felt really privileged to talk about marriage, divorce from the words of Jesus, who really goes in hard on kind of, trashing marriage and culture. He wasn't for that and all that marriage means. So it was a blessing to be there, and I certainly know you guys had a great time out there.
We did. We were glad to have you preaching back home.
Well, hey, sports time, man. My wife is assistant coach, Blacksburg High School soccer. My daughter, she's a sophomore there. They won last night in the state quarterfinals.
Ooh.
So,
Two more games.
They're so encouraged because they went from 3A to 4A, bigger schools.
Okay.
But yet they're in the Final Four again. They were last year 3A, this year 4A. So they have a team from Northern Virginia, DC Metro. I think some girl on the team scored like 47 goals this year or something stupid. We're gonna lock her down. But anyway, they have the semis on Friday, and so we're all in the sports world. Certainly, World Cup is coming. My family's excited about the World Cup. American soccer people are stoked. Rest of us probably don't know it's coming, but it is coming. And also NBA playoffs.
That's right, NBA. That's what I've been paying attention to and watching.
Are you a LeBron James guy or not?
I like LeBron.
My son loves LeBron. It's like his hero. He cries almost when they lose. It's really intense for him.
Yeah, I've come around on LeBron. I grew up, I am a Zards fan, a Wizards fan. Was a Bullets fan before that. We had what we thought was a rivalry with LeBron when he was in Cleveland the first time. They did not consider it a rivalry because they beat us every time. But
right.
But I did not like LeBron back then. And I've come around. I appreciate LeBron.
It's kind of like UVA people thought they had a rivalry with us at UNC, and UNC people, we didn't care about UVA at all. We're like, dude, maybe, but I don't. UVA.
At this point, I think the UVA Virginia Tech football rivalry is like that too.
Yeah,
it's been a lot of years.
It's been like 40-0 for the Hokies, I think, on that one. So, but hey, and speaking of sports, I'm going to ask you a few questions in our first segment here today, in or out. And so I've got 7 of them, so you don't have to go in on all of them. You might want to. You might want to stay out on some of them, but we're going to go in pretty strong. So number 1, hopefully this will be an informed pick. Who's your pick for the World Cup of the World in football, world football?
I should stay out. I don't know anything.
Just don't say Italy or the U.S. men's national team because they did not qualify. Or the Netherlands. They didn't make it.
I was going to say USA.
Perennial powers that did not make it.
I did know that we did not make it.
Yeah, it's a sad thing.
So I don't know. I'm out. Yeah. You tell me. Who should I be in on?
Well, Manchester United Football Club, which is the best club football club in the world.
Objectively speaking.
Yeah, objectively speaking, just signed Fred. He has one of those one name, and he's from Brazil.
Fred.
So Fred is now a Red.
A very Brazilian name.
It literally says Fred. And for some reason, when my girls were little, I just called them Fred when I asked them to do stuff. So we're saying Fred a lot in the house right now. So my pick is Brazil with a secondary support of Belgium, but my son would like Argentina because he likes Lionel Messi.
Okay.
All right. So out on that. So don't pick maybe Germany. Jesse, you can cheer for them. Number 2, Michael Jordan, who I think played for the Wizards, or LeBron James as the greatest basketball player of all time.
Michael Jordan.
Oh, you went in with the correct answer
I'm
right
in.
away.
Michael Jordan.
Good job.
I mean, it is getting close. The way that Bron has carried the Cavs, especially this post, this is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in basketball.
The biggest thing I like about Bron is that he seems like a really good dude. He helps a lot of people. He seems like he's very about the community.
I'd rather hang out with him than Jordan.
Yeah. Jordan would just try to beat you and everything. The thing is, if LeBron loses again, he will have lost 6 titles, whereas Jordan won 6 without loss. So correct answer, Michael Jordan. Number 3, if you have a choice to eat good food or get good sleep, you want to go in or out on that one?
I'll go in. That's easy for me. That would be good sleep. I could eat anything, but if I don't get good sleep, my world ends.
You're a different human being.
Yeah. Well, I haven't gotten good sleep in years, but that's probably why I would like.
When you're in
sleep.
Having children mode for multiple years and pastoring a young church for multiple years, sleep is not the same as it used to be. All right, number 4, we already had a little foreshadowing of this one, a little precursor. But Canadian Rockies versus the United States Rocky Mountains. Which one do you prefer?
Oh, typically I would say United States because, it's just
United States, Canada in the same sentence.
I feel like I don't want to betray my country, but Canadian Rockies.
Canadian Rockies. You want 24 else nor beers, eh? All right, number 5. That's from a 1980s movie, I think, Strange Brew. Number 5, can Donald Trump pardon himself, in or out?
I am going to stay out because I actually don't know. It doesn't seem right.
It seems really wrong. I saw headlines that said that, and something like a tweet like he said he certainly can pardon himself, which sounds a little crazy. All right, number 6, is the word BS, which we defined as bad stuff and also has a more popular nuanced meaning for those 2 letters, is the word BS in its more cultural vernacular a naughty word to say? Bad word or not? In or out?
I'm in on this because this is what we're talking about today, and for the most part. And I'm going to say it depends. I'm going to say it depends.
Very judicious. Very interesting. All right.
We can just get into that more later.
Yeah, we sure will. Number 7, last one. This is really interesting for me to ask you as a pastor. Did Steph Curry, our title of our show is Steph Curry Bombs, because he's shooting them 3 bombs. Did Steph Curry sin in Game 3 against the Houston Rockets by declaring, "This is my effing house" on the court and in front of his mother?
Ooh,
did he sin?
Yeah, we're
getting
getting and another thing we're getting into, right? You know, Steph Curry, who was corrected by his mother, told to wash out his mouth with soap, which I actually had to do as a kid.
I did too. Bars of soap.
Bars, you stick in the mouth and hold on to it for a while.
Liquid dial antibacterial nonsense.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say probably, but I think it has more to do with the "my" than the F word.
Ah, okay.
So I'm gonna say there may be some pride and arrogance there.
Don't say it yet. Don't say it yet. So there may be something more in the word "my" than effing. Okay, well that's our main topic today. Steph Curry bombs. The other night when LeBron James lost again to Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, he was throwing in these 3-pointers, broke the record, 9 3-pointers in one game, NBA Finals record. My son and I were both just started giggling and laughing when he kept making these shots. Me more in a laughter kind of way because I liked it, and him more in like he was frustrated with it, almost crying laughter. It was really great. We were both just tickled, but he was dropping them bombs, right? Yep. 3 bombs. But, today we're going to talk about language and culture a bit. And so, and I do say culture because there are different cultural norms. I guess in every culture and language, there are certain words that are understood probably by most people to be of the certain kind or on certain kind of mental lists of being bad language. And certainly we learned a little bit of the difference between cultures our kids growing up in New Jersey. We were there almost 8 years, and certainly the vernacular. My wife was not used to hearing parents like drop F-bombs in front of their 5, 6, 7-year-old kids, like it was nothing. And so a little bit of a cultural difference there. And my wife was like, "That is not right in any universe. And I am being transculture in my thing. You shouldn't talk like that in front of children," because she grew up in a place where that just wasn't done. So the circles we grew up in, the language they used. My dad was a, ex-Irish Catholic atheist naval officer who liked a little Irish liquor every now and then. And certainly I grew up constantly around salty language, sports, military, that kind of thing. And then in college, I became a Christian, right? I was on a wrestling team, became a Christian, and I'll never forget the story about David Robinson. He's known as the Admiral.
The Admiral, that's right.
Guy who went into college, I think he was like 6'5", pretty good basketball size, maybe for a point guard, swing guard. And he came out of college like a 7-foot athlete beast of a man, and had to do his Navy training, then went to the NBA. And so strong Christian guy, had Christian convictions that he talked about openly. But I believe that he said like "damn it" or something on the court one time, and I just remember Christian people like freaking out about it, like something like they fell from heaven or something, and him kind of feeling like, "Man, I'm human, I just made a mistake," and that kind of thing. And well, just recently, I came across an article that I know we both read by a guy, actually a really good friend of mine. What's up, Ed Uszynski? Where he what was the title of this article? Why we don't need
both 3 bombs and F-bombs.
Yeah, why we don't need both 3 bombs and F-bombs. How about you summarize a little bit what was going on with Ed there?
Yeah, sure. Well, you've already kind of brought up that scene that happened when in the series against the Rockets, when Steph Curry, who had seemingly kind of lost his touch there for the first couple of games, right, coming off of an injury. And he lit on fire. The crowd was going crazy, and he looked out into the crowd and said, "This is my effing house," right?
Right.
And after he made, at that point, I think it was a contested layup and a foul. In any case, got the crowd going crazy, and there was it was addressed in the. After the game, because his mother had sent him videos of him saying that and telling him that he needed to wash his mouth out with soap, and he apologized. So the article kind of walks through the story, right?
Yeah,
so there's reporting. He talks about how Crystal Rich, reporting for The Fumble, mocks the difference between the split persona of Steph Curry, that he's got regular Steph.
Right.
Regular Steph is the mild-mannered Clark Kent, right? He's the guy who
brings his baby girl to the post-game interviews.
That's right,
yeah,
and says all the right things and is a humble Christian and points up to the I don't know. I guess to heaven.
Yeah,
to the sky.
Uranos. Yeah,
to
Greek word
to
for
heaven when he makes his 3-pointers, and then the split persona, the Mr. Hyde of the shimmy Steph, right?
Called him Shimmy Steph. Yeah,
who's dancing and cussing and staring down his opponent and dancing on the floor.
Yeah.
And so Ed Uszynski kind of walks through this and essentially says that what we really don't need this person who's being lifted up as a model Christian athlete dropping F-bombs.
Yeah.
And then in particular, he kind of walks through how that can be confusing and then how then Kevin Durant was interviewed about it.
Yeah, what do you think of Steph dropping the F-bomb? And to quote Rocket from Garden State, he didn't say frickin', right?
Yeah.
He dropped the F-bomb. KD, what did you think, right?
Yeah, that's right. And he did you like it, Durant? He says, F yeah. And then there's a bunch of laughter. And essentially said when Curry unleashes an F-bomb like that, which doesn't happen often, it means that he's really into it, and he's feeling the intensity, and the crowd feeds off of that, and then the team feeds off of that. And so really what he's saying is that yes, we love it when Curry drops F-bombs because it gets us pumped up. It means he's in it, and Uszynski takes him to task here. Says,
Durant, particularly.
Yeah, that's right. Since Durant's mom isn't calling for Durant to wash his mouth out with soap, that essentially we will, or he will in the article.
That's right.
That it's really a stupid answer for a Christ follower to give, because it's, it really is essentially saying, go ahead and
let her rip.
Let it rip.
Makes you a better player, even maybe.
And he says, he goes in the end, dear Christian athlete, we don't want you to be perfect, just consistent. And then goes on to say, really don't be phony. Don't give lip service to the gospel, but then drop F-bombs on the court, because that's phony religion. And it involves trying to get credit with one crowd for being Christian, and then on the other side, get credit from the other crowd for being worldly.
Yeah.
And that we don't want to do that. He uses one of the things I did like about it is he talks about his own son and essentially doing the same thing and wanting his own son then to take personal responsibility for that, to apologize to people that have been affected, and to keep in mind that what he says on the court has effect on the kids in the school the next day and what they're going to say. And
That's right.
So that about sums up.
Ed and Amy. I really like the end of the article too. Ed and I actually texted when this article came out, and I kind of withheld a little bit of my maybe critique from it because I didn't want to bum him out, because people were already on Facebook going crazy on him for going in on Steph Curry because he didn't like Donald Trump or some political stuff where, people judge each other, and certainly athletes as having opinions in the political realm and everything. So, but Ed and Amy are great parents, and I love that interaction with his son. And it reminded me, of course, of Steph's mom. She went in, she did what she had to do, right?
Man. Wash your mouth out, son.
So this is our house. Steph's mom's not proud. Steph apologized. KD liked it. Dr. Ed did not like what KD had to say. Well, it brings up some interesting discussion that we'll engage together here in the last few minutes that we have here on this episode about language itself, the use of language. I don't know, years ago I was studying the book of Ephesians in even the core group of our church plant, Jacob's Well, and so I was giving it some thought about how do we use language, and bad language, harsh language. For instance, Ephesians 4 gives some pretty strong counsel as how to use speech or how it should be exercised. And so Ephesians 4:25, speak truth to our neighbors, put aside falsehood, right? Lying, that's a big deal for God. It goes against God's nature as being truthful. And then certainly in chapter 4, verse 29, the book of Ephesians says this, let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, right? No, right? But only such which is good for building up, as fit the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. So pretty clear, we're to use our language, our mouths, not to tear down or corrupt things, but rather, this is a building, architectural term, build people right up with what we say, and to give grace in certain moments. So there's a wisdom of what we say when and why in it. And so there's a lot of things said actually in Scripture about the use of language. Certainly, we're familiar in two Gospels, Matthew and Luke. Jesus said, out of the overflow or the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So in other words, what is in our hearts will be the source of the overflow, right? What's flowing out of your face usually happens somewhere in your soul first. But there's a lot of things about speech that we might consider wrong or sinful. Certainly lying tongues, all throughout Psalms and Proverbs. Certainly Jesus calls the enemy, Satan, the devil, the father of lies. Slander and gossip, tearing people up with our language. This is something I think today we need to talk about more, probably in light of social media and the way people talk to each other on Twitter, right?
I think that's right. And as a matter of fact, I think that really, when you go back to the Ten Commandments and you read bear false witness, frankly, I think that has more to do with slander. I mean, really, it's kind of legal, but yeah, it's not just lying like about insignificant things. Like you look great in that dress when you don't think your friend looks great in the dress. It's more like the slander, the gossip, the trying to bring someone down through false
witnesses. Yeah. Slander, we talk junk about people all the time today without really thinking about it, and that's unfortunate. And certainly gossip, talking about someone who's not there to even engage in the conversation, is not helpful.
And you would distinguish the two. Slander is saying something untrue about someone, and gossip would be saying something true, but still in order to bring someone down.
Yeah, if you want to do Venn diagrams or circle categorical stuff, I would say that slander would be, gossip would include some things that slander wouldn't. But still, the wrongness of gossip.
Right.
And now people, there's a fun phrase like when people are gossip, praise people when they're not there. That kind of thing is the only kind of gossip you should engage in. But yeah, talking about people, right, is hurtful, and it's hurtful to community because it gets sideways and out of control, and certainly can wound. Profanity and obscenity. There's certainly concepts that come down through history. The English word profane comes from two Latin words, profanum, which is the Latin word for temple, or means pro or before the temple. It means to deal with that which is unholy, right? Profaning something means you take something that was meant for holiness and you use it for something base. And so God has made certain aspects of life holy, set apart for His purposes, His name, His people, our bodies, our sexuality. And to speak of such things, God, ourselves, people's bodies, degrades, mocks, tears down, dishonors, we would call that profanity, and we should avoid it. Obscenity, right, is a specific subset maybe of profanity, which deals with sexual stuff, right? To avoid foolish talk or crude joking or crude jesting, locker room talk that we kind of giggle off, which we shouldn't, right? Obscene use of our language. A couple others. James chapter 3 talks about cursing people. Out of your mouth flow blessing and cursing. With it, you curse people who are made in the image of God, and you praise God with the same mouth. That's kind of, brothers, it should not be.
That's right. And I think that's connected to what Jesus is saying in the Sermon on the Mount when He says, really, you shouldn't say you fool to your brother. You shouldn't, I mean, really, even that's a great picture because we think of the word fool.
Right.
And we don't really think that's a strong word.
Yeah. We might say he's a damn fool.
And, well, you might say that
because you're cursing people. I'm just giving examples, right?
That's right.
That would not be right to say to someone.
That's good. Yeah. So, but really what Jesus is getting at is not the word itself, but it's this idea of cursing someone, of saying, from my perch above you, I'm going to damn you. I'm going to put you down and bring down, even God's displeasure on you, as if I can do that.
Right.
And that's what, that's what James is talking
cursing,
about.
Right?
It's
cursing, not just like he's cussing, but actually cursing someone. And Jesus does that great parallelism there in the Sermon on the Mount, where He said, "You've heard it said you shouldn't commit murder," which a lot of us would quickly say, "Well, I'll never do that." But He said, "I say to you," and then He deals with what's in the heart,
that's
and
right.
Anger, and saying you fool, and calling down kind of curses on folks.
And my point in connecting those is that we don't have to have a wizard's wand or eye of Newt
right.
to come up with a curse. Like we do it all the time,
right,
from the heart,
right.
Yeah,
and maybe we might argue you can use words that maybe aren't on the disapproved list somewhere that someone thinks are bad words to actually curse someone.
Yeah. When someone cuts me off in traffic, I can curse them without saying a bad word.
Yeah, that's right. Final one.
I've done it.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. No. Yeah, driving in Virginia is easy. I was more prone to road raging someone in New York City Metro, but I love hearing people in Blacksburg talk about how the traffic's going to be so terrible when the students get back. I'm like, I haven't seen traffic here yet. It's been pretty delightful. Last one, that we could use our mouths for an appropriate thing. Obviously, this is in every case in the Scripture, but pretty broad categorically what the Bible says about use of our tongue. Blaspheming God. In other words, you use God's name in vain. You profane God particularly, using his name to curse others, using his name as an expletive. Jesus' name is not a word of, four-letter word, so to speak, as five. And that kind of thing. But so these are the kind of things the Scriptures say. So the use of language is actually serious, and beautiful and capable of great blessing. And so, but we're a little casual, I'd say, in the way we interact and use language today. But what I really want to push back on, and this is where we can kick it around a little bit, and is that I've seen people who maybe are Christians or church-attending type people would want to use things like in the book of Ephesians, say, no corrupting talk and no filthy language, as if saying that solves the issue of all the problems of what we say. Because I don't personally believe that there's a word list like out in heaven that are kind of the banned, disapproved words in every language. Because think about it, we probably wouldn't know a curse word in Farsi or some four-letter word in Mandarin.
I used to know some Italian ones from my family, but I don't know those anymore.
That's
either.
right. My brother, when he learned Spanish, he learned all those words first.
And I had a friend whose family was Italian, and his dad had pretty much forgotten most Italian, but he remembered the curse words.
Yeah.
So you knew when his dad was getting angry. He was also our Little League baseball coach.
He started ramping them up.
Yeah, so he just would go in on those Italian curse words. We didn't know what they were. We'd repeat them, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you're in a situation where you're in another culture and they're speaking a different language, you don't know if they're using them or not. And so people typically get away with more when they don't know the words.
As a matter of fact, even in the English language, culture matters so much, right? When I was in England, I was shocked at the way that the F word was used by church people, like casually. And then when I was in Australia, I remember we were talking about Australian rules football, and I was asking some of our friends, well, who do you root for? And apparently, in the culture there, rooting means that you want to get with the person. You want to
like shag.
You want to shag.
Oh gosh.
And so I was inadvertently, stumbling in on words that they would never say about rooting for a team.
You were going to cheer for a team, and they were thinking you were.
Yeah. Who do you support? Is what they would say.
Yeah, no snuggling.
So really, culture matters. It's not even just language. Culture matters so much.
In England, the word bloody is much worse.
That's right.
We think it's funny because
we go over
there
like,
hey!
Bloody. Yeah,
and you're dropping like the worst stuff right in front of
and offending people without knowing it.
That's right. Well, I'm not a big fan of just looking at the word list, and I've talked about this with my children, and I would say even my wife and I probably disagree on which words are okay and which aren't.
She probably has a bigger word list.
She has a longer word list than I do, for sure. And like the word BS, I'm not going to use the word bad stuff here, but I don't feel any problem with that word at all. But others do, obviously. But in all seriousness, like, what we say is more than just the words that come out. Even if you read some like moral philosophy, like Thomas Aquinas, he talked a lot about when we do something or when we say something, there's an inward motion of the soul that happens first. You can see this. Obviously, he's a follower of Jesus. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so there's an internal act, including motive, why we're doing it, intention, what I'm trying to accomplish. And then there's the external act of doing or saying something. And so all of that matters. And when we speak, it has intention, it has motive, it has a social, linguistic context, like if you're in Australia or England or in a moment of conflict or peaceable discussion. And so then that gives your range of meaning of what you're saying. And so I think it's very important not just to simply focus on certain lists of bad words, but if we are actually speaking with the intent to tear down, maim, hurt, because you can do a lot worse things with words and never use a four-letter word or any of the banned words.
That's right.
Because of the way you're using language as husbands and wives. I say this in premarital counseling all the time, in marriage counseling, is that we know how to hurt our spouses better than anyone because we know them well. So we know how to aim the words and we know how to select the words so that they do what we want them to do. And many times that's not good.
That's great. And, even with that, you can use the exact same words in a different tone and a different context in ways that are cursing. And so, for instance, you walk into the house and the smell of dinner is delicious, and you start to just long for the 15 minutes that you're going to sit down at meal with your family, and your wife's prepared this great meal, and you come in and you go, wow, thank you so much for your hard work. This looks great. Whereas you come home and the smoke greets you at the door when you walk in. You've had a hard day, so you're irritable, and you just, all you wanted was a good meal, and you get home and it's burnt and it plops down, and you say, "Wow, thanks so much." Yeah, thanks for all your hard work. This looks great.
Yeah,
and that the tone, the context, that makes that into a curse. You're cursing your wife.
Yeah,
and it really doesn't matter so much the media itself, the exact words.
That's right.
There's so much more that's in it.
I've sinned more with my speaking through curt language, sarcasm, criticalness. I mean. My family, we all kind of have knowledge of each other's sinful tendencies. We've talked about it over the years. If, when dad is kind of going in a wrong way, what does dad do? When Kayla or Kai or Tommy or mom, some would go towards sloth, they're too lazy. Some would, my son would tend towards levity in all situations. He just wants to giggle and laugh it all away rather than sometimes dealing with things in the appropriate way. Kai can get really mad. I get really critical. And it comes out against and close to people I love the most. And usually it's because I'm unhappy with my life or where I am with the Lord or some circumstance. But those closest to me get it as sarcasm, criticalness of things that they don't need. And I'm not obeying the Lord with building them up or giving grace to my hearers. And I think that gets in the article we'll put in the show notes. I've written an essay on all this stuff, and I used an example that if you had a friend who's really kind of struggling with life and really messed up, and he's in tears and weeping and says, "Man, I really effed up my life." I think he's done less of a bad thing than someone who, without any kind of 4-letter word at all, is just cutting his wife to shreds.
Absolutely, I'm with you.
Well, back to Steph Curry. Did he sin? Right, sin. However we define. I like to say sin is turning our desires to lesser things. Like we love and worship that which isn't worthy of it, and so we turn our hearts aside to those things. Whether that's worshiping ourselves or worshiping stuff or coveting, I think sin flows out of that. But obviously, it's missing the mark. It's transgressing the law of God. It's doing something wrong. Steph Curry, my effing house. Is he sinning?
Well, yeah, I've already said. Well, I mean, I have a hard time answering that.
Why did you focus on the word "my"?
Yeah, so I have a hard time answering that in general because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
we don't know.
We don't know
because we don't know the intent, motive.
That's right.
Or
There's so much I don't know about Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And frankly, part of the problem that we have is that we think we know because he's there and we
want to say it and tweet about it and talk about it.
We don't know. We don't know what's going on in his heart. I would say though, my bigger problem is the entirety of that sense of this is my house. I built this house. I mean, really, if I was his pastor,
right,
I'd want to put my finger more on the "my" than on the F word.
Yeah.
The F word I think is problematic, and we can get into that in a second. But to me, it's more of what's coming out of the heart. It's not like what's coming out of his heart isn't he's this terrible guy that uses bad language.
Is it lying? Is it slander? Is it gossip? Is it tearing anybody up? Is it profane? Is it obscene? Is he cursing anyone? Is he blaspheming?
And it may be obscene.
Yeah,
it may be.
Yeah.
It is obscene.
He's not using it.
He's not using it in a way.
I mean, there is a way to use that word.
That's
very
right.
Obscene
He's not describing it.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
He's using it almost as an emphasis. Right.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
It's just there to add a little flavor.
We've been taking Greek and how they might use a certain preference. Well, they usually use this for emphasis. Well, he could have said, "This is my house."
He could have inserted any kind of word there. Right. That's why, to me, the bigger issue is, which I mean, who am I? I'm not, he's not asking me, but right. I would want to put my finger more on the "my," like what what does that reveal about you, that you think
Yeah.
that this is your house?
Yeah.
And I get, so again, but at the same time, I would want to give him so much latitude. He's out there
Yeah.
competing in front of 1 million people.
Yeah.
He's, those types of moments are when we have the least amount of, in other words, I say things in competition, just like I would say things when I haven't had a lot of sleep, and just like I'd say things when I'm irritable about this thing, like,
the human soul and the range of things that happen to us and through us and by us is affected by passionate moments, exhaustion, injury,
That's
pain,
right.
all kinds of
That's
things.
right.
And certainly human beings are those that need grace from God and not simply the judgment of basketball fans.
That's right. Like
his mama maybe didn't like it because his little girl's sitting there. And
that's right. And there's a bunch of other kids sitting there.
Yeah, my son's sitting there. My son was just mad because he was making shots, probably more than anything. But yeah, pride of heart. We want to care about as people. If we have my house, we'll invite people into it, perhaps. And
frankly, I got a bigger problem with the whole thing. Like,
sports culture, bravado, end zone dancing,
and not even just that. I actually don't mind that so much because we're being entertained. This is entertainment.
And it's fun.
It's entertainment.
Yeah.
Steph Curry's not our pastor, and so here's what I have a bigger problem with lifting him up as some sort of moral exemplar. Like, hey, kids who are athletes, you should be like Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, no. Well, yes, if you're trying to learn how to shoot a 3-pointer,
right?
But if you're trying to learn how to be
masterclass,
be a Christian,
in 3-point shooting,
that's right. Yeah. But to me, the whole idea of like he's some sort of exemplar of the faith because he can point to the ceiling after he makes shots, I think that whole thing is ridiculous.
I read a quote years ago, and I'm going to butcher it, by A.W. Tozer. I believe it was in the book The Pursuit of God.
Someone can write in and correct you.
Yeah, write in to us, info at Gospel Underground, you Tozerite expert, extant manuscripts of Tozer. But I believe it was something to the sort of talking about the modern kind of Christian American kind of church. And he said, how quickly are we to hang the reputation of the Prince of Glory upon a man that will surely die?
Yeah.
In other words, we love to run the celebrity, the statesman, the businessman, the converted athlete up to the front and say, oh, look, this now gives credibility to who King of Kings. I do think that celebrity nature is a little ridiculous. Now, I used to work in a sports ministry, and I still serve sports ministries quite regularly. I'm still very involved in that world. And what we cared about was to minister to athletes as human beings, and then allow them to speak as witnesses for Jesus because of their human nature and pointing to the glory of God and not to themselves. And that's something that Christian athletes can do, and I think Steph Curry does very well. And I'm probably of the persuasion that looking at all the definitions of sinful speech in the Bible, that his effing house wasn't, but maybe he was thinking a little too much of himself in the moment.
Yeah. So, I've started to, whenever I do something good, whenever I think I do something good, I like to pound my chest and
say,
point
this is
point
your
up.
house.
No. I pound my chest and then point up to the heavens.
That's right.
He gave me the strength to do this great. I think we should start coming down from the pulpit.
That's right.
Pound the chest, point up to the heavens.
That's right. And maybe pull the pimp off my shoulders.
Just dust it off.
And say, this is God's house.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just kind of, to me.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's natural for kids to want a role model, and it's natural for us to look for them. And I think Steph Curry should embrace that.
That's right.
I do think that. I just think we are expecting too much from these guys when we're, so even the fact, like, how much can these guys grow in the Lord?
Yeah.
When their schedule requires them to be so disconnected from the local body.
Yeah.
When I look at these guys, I'm going, well, I need to not expect too much, right?
Yeah.
They are entertainers.
The good thing, Pastor Jesse, that I can relieve your existential angst that I'm seeing upon you right now, is that in the high level sports athletic world, where there is kind of you're traveling, you're on the road, you're in context away from, say, like kind of the traditional
relieve my
model.
angst.
Got to relieve your angst. There are wonderful internal cultural Christian communities on these teams. And at least I know in the NFL, the chaplaincy work that's done, these people are being pastored. They are worshiping together. Many times their families are involved. And there is an assembly there, and even some of them, I don't get into too specific details because we probably shouldn't. Even some of those have real pastoral authority with these people. But yeah, it is a different lifestyle.
That does relieve some of my angst, but it does bring up a whole nother. Man, we should have a whole nother. Is that the church? Does that count, Reid?
Yes and no.
Because let's have a whole nother one on that.
Yes and no. Same thing where if you had people off to war for 6 months, they would have probably a disrupted typical rhythm of gospel community, but could be
could still grow in their faith.
Could be done in a different way for seasons of time. And most of these folks, this is a short season of time because, contrary to popular belief, not everybody is LeBron. Certainly not everybody, including LeBron, is not Michael Jordan. And
NFL
these are
is the not for long league.
Not for long. Average is less than 3 years. Yep. Most don't even get tenure enough to be in the pension fund plan. So a lot of those guys need health care for a long time, and so it is certainly an interesting world. But the gospel needs to be there. God's people there in terms of being part of the church is there, but it's not probably word, sacrament, discipline in the sense of a local congregation, which most of them are members of as well if they really love and follow the Lord. Well, Jesse, let's watch our mouths. Let's encourage
always at work. By the way, one of the things, when you think about, I don't know that I would say it's sin, but what I would want to say to him if I had a chance would be that really what it comes down to is loving your neighbor well.
Yeah.
And when you have a lot of people who are going to be offended, are going to be offended.
Yeah.
You can't walk through life stopping everything you think might offend someone, but you're pretty sure dropping the F-bomb is going to offend some people, especially you got kids in the crowd. To me, it's more about how can you love your neighbor well? Yeah. How can you represent the gospel well? And so what I might categorize as unwise language, language that may become a barrier to the gospel rather than a bridge. You want to avoid that kind of stuff.
We all do need to repent sometime of what Shimmy Steph might come out and do from us.
I like watching Shimmy Steph a lot more.
The grace of God is with us. Thank you, Steph Curry. In all honesty, from here on the Gospel Underground, we are talking about you because you're a public person, but you're a human being made in the image of God. Your witness for Jesus is compelling. It's beautiful. Keep being a dad. Shout out. We love you, man. Keep dropping them threes on Bron and make my son cry. Well,
the game is beautiful.
That's right. As we close today, I want to thank Sugar and the High Lows for allowing us to license the song See It For Yourself as our theme song. We're taking 5-star reviews on iTunes. We've, I think, got 7 now. 7 5 stars, no 4 stars, no 3. And if you're putting a 1 up there, give me a call here or email us at info@gospelunderground.org. Send your comments, feedback, questions, anything you'd like us to take up at info@gospelunderground.org. We are dialogue taking place on the borderlands between the church and culture and the NBA and the F-bomb, and we are out. Peace.
Peace.